up, guys? It's your girl Nisha, and today I am back with another video. So as you guys can see by the title, today I will be telling you guys how to pass anatomy and physiology. But before I get to the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. It'll be linked down below in the description box, and it will also be on the screen. And don't forget to check out some of my other videos. They will also be linked down below in the description box. And without further ado, let's just get into the video. Okay, so the first tip that I have for passing anatomy and physiology is to know what kind of learner you are. We have hands-on learners, there are visual learners, there are audio learners. Just know what kind of learner that you are, so that way you go into the course knowing how you're gonna study the material. Knowing what kind of learner you are in general, not even just for this course, but in general, makes all classes a little bit more easier because you know how you're going to tackle them. You kind of don't have to figure it out as you go. You don't know if you're hands-on, you don't know if you're visual, because if you don't know what kind of learner you are, you're going to struggle just trying to tackle the concepts and trying to take notes if you don't know what kind of learner you are. And if you don't know what kind of learner you are, take a quiz. There's literally online quizzes that ask you certain questions to see what kind of learner you are. And I've taken a few myself before I learned what kind of learner I am. And they're actually pretty accurate. At first, I was like, okay, let me take this quiz. It's probably not gonna be accurate. You know, those online quizzes, they just be talking about a whole bunch of nothing. But no, if you Google an online quiz to see what kind of learner you are, it will ask you questions that will tell you what kind of learner you are. The minute you learn what kind of learner you are, it will make, especially this course, a lot easier. Anatomy and physiology is already a difficult course because you're learning so much new material about so many different things, so many different concepts, so many different body parts. It can just be overwhelming, and it can be a lot if you don't know what kind of learner you are. So my very, very, very first tip, which it seems kind of like, you know, oh, whatever, but it's really not whatever. It genuinely helps. Know what kind of learner you are. And if you don't know, take a quiz. I'll even link one down below in the description box. Hey, why not? If you don't know what kind of learner you are, take the quiz that I'm going to link down below in the description box to see what kind of learner you are, and come back and let me know what kind of learner you are in the comments. Me personally, I'm a visual and a hands-on learner. Not really a good audio learner because sometimes, I don't know if it's just me, but even in lecture or in class, they can just talk and talk and talk. And I know the information is important, but naturally, mentally, our brains start to shut down after a few hours or after 45 minutes. You just get tired of hearing. It sounds like a whole bunch of nothing, but it's not a whole bunch of nothing. And it will be on your quizzes and your upcoming tests. So be sure to either record the lecture or to listen in class as long as you can. But again, learn what kind of learner you are. Know what kind of learner you are. That's my very first tip. My next tip for passing anatomy and physiology is to study the material day by day. Even if you don't get all the concepts when you're in class, take some time out the day to go to the library or go home and genuinely go over the concepts by yourself. If that's listening to a YouTube video, if that's writing down notes, if that's doing something hands-on outside of class, take some time each day after you have the lecture or the class to go over the material by yourself. Even if you don't get every single thing when you do sit down and go over it, you'll naturally mentally pick up bits and pieces. And sometimes, honestly, day by day, all you need to know is bits and pieces. It will literally get you through until you get up to the point where, okay, there's a test or there's a quiz in a week. That week that you have to prepare for that quiz, that test, that exam, really digest the material. And a little bit of the material should already be familiar because, hey, you took 25 minutes, you took 30 minutes, you took 45 minutes to sit down day by day and go over the material. It sounds like a lot, especially if it's a class that you think is just oh so difficult, or it's a class that you're not interested in. Hey, the reality of it is, a lot of classes you're not interested in, you still do have to pass. So you have to do what you have to do. And 35 minutes, 45 minutes, 25 minutes, it may seem like a lot. It only seems like a lot because you don't want to do it. That's just what it is. You spend 25, 35, 40 minutes scrolling on TikTok. Yeah, you spend all that time scrolling on TikTok, but you can't take that time to sit down and go through those concepts that you need to know for your upcoming quiz, test, or exam. 45 minutes is not a lot when you're scrolling on TikTok. Oh, okay. It's quiet. Oh, okay, it's real quiet. Anyways, take that time to digest the information, like slowly but surely, because over time, what you're allowing your brain to do is slowly but surely get those concepts in. Slowly but surely keep learning new facts. So then when you do have that week and you're just going over it, it's like studying, but it's mainly just like review. And then as you're reviewing, do a lot of active recall, which is going to be my next tip for passing anatomy and physiology. Active recall, active recall, active recall. I can't stress it enough. When I finally incorporated active recall into my study review sessions, it made my life a whole lot easier. For those of you who don't know what active recall is, you can do active recall 2 ways, but I'm going to tell you guys the way that I did it that helped me pass anatomy and physiology. So say I'm going over chapter 1, right? I'm going to take, go day by day, go over different parts of chapter 1. That week when I'm reviewing for chapter 1, before I start reviewing and just get into that repetition phase, I'm going to get me a big whiteboard. If you're at the library, you should be able to get one. Big whiteboard. Get you a dry erase marker. Write down everything that you know from chapter 1. It doesn't have to be in order. It doesn't have to be spelled right. If if you can't spell, but you remember something, write it out the best way that you can on the whiteboard. Everything you can remember from those days that you were just reviewing bits and pieces. Write it all out. Write it all out. Get it out on the whiteboard, and then go back and see what you were reviewing day by day. And everything that you forgot, write it on the whiteboard in a different color. See, me, I like to color coordinate. So write it on the whiteboard in a different color. When you write it on the whiteboard in a different color, it registers. I don't know how to explain it, but it definitely registers. It definitely helps. So do a lot of active recalling after you've been taking that time day by day to digest some of the material. Do not wait to the last minute to study. It's very rare that my friends who waited to the last minute to study in anatomy and physiology passed their exams. Or if they did pass their exams, it wasn't the score that they wanted because they waited 2-3 days before to really buckle down and get serious. Active recall. Know what kind of learner you are. I'm telling you, these things help. They help. I can't stress it enough. My third tip for passing anatomy and physiology is going to be use Quizlet. Use Quizlet. Quizlet is not going to be there with you on that exam, on that test, or on that quiz, but Quizlet gets that repetition in there. And a lot of the times, whether we know it or not, repetition helps. Like naturally, when you keep looking at something after a while, it kind of just sticks. Me personally, I love Quizlet. It's really unfortunate that they've kind of like updated to this like premium Quizlet thing. That's neither here nor there, but use Quizlet. Use Quizlet. If you don't have a premium subscription, don't get a premium subscription. Go over the flashcards again and again and again and again. After you see something so many times, when you get to that quiz or that test and you see something even similar to something you saw on the flashcard, boom, you know the answer. And it sounds crazy, but it genuinely works just like that. But Quizlet, I can't stress it enough. Go through those Quizlets chapter by chapter. When you take that time, that 25, 35, 45 minutes, day by day, to go over the material, make sure you look at a Quizlet because it makes things a lot easier. So my third tip is really going to be use Quizlet. My fourth tip is the textbook. Now, depending on what school you go to, your textbook's going to be different, whether you're in high school or whether you're in college. So the book that I had to use for my anatomy and physiology class is right here. But I do know that this book was the book that my professor made. So this book in particular is strictly for her class. So I want to say when you're going through the material chapter by chapter, me personally, I did use the book. I used the book because I'm a visual learner. And there's a lot of visuals in here. I can show you guys a few of the different visuals they have in here. So this really helped me a lot because like I said before, I'm a visual learner. And after I see things a certain amount of times, it kind of just clicks. So we have this picture in here, the endocrine glands and tissues. And then just to show you guys why I use my textbook. Now, you can pass the class without using the textbook. I'm going to get into that as well, but just showing a few different things. My textbook has a lot of visuals, and I am a visual learner. You can see that I have markings in here. I got markings all over this book, y'all, all over. But I'm just a visual learner. If I had a textbook that had a whole bunch of words and explained a whole bunch of different processes, I wouldn't have read it. And I love reading, which is so shocking that if I had a textbook that had a whole bunch of words, I wouldn't have read it. I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. I enjoy reading things that I want to read about, not things that I have to read. Things that don't interest me, I really can't sit down and read them, which is why I'm a visual learner. You know, that's my first time really saying that out loud, and it all makes sense. You can use your textbook depending on what kind of learner you are. I use my textbook because of the visuals. If your textbook has a whole bunch of words and you're more of an audio learner, record the lecture. Or for my class, I know that she recorded her own lectures, and then she would post them just in case we wanted to go back and see anything she said or anything like that. Use those extra resources outside of class. A lot of the times, your textbook is helpful, but it's not what the teacher said. It's not exactly what the teacher is going to be testing you on. The thing about textbooks is that they go overly in depth for you to really understand the concept, which is cool and all. But if the teacher is not testing you overly in depth based on the textbook, don't use your textbook. Use other resources that will work better for you. Tip on passing anatomy and physiology is to not use the textbook if it's not helpful. I can't tell you how many people get so caught up in, using the textbook, and it's not doing anything for them. Like I said before, if it's a whole bunch of words and you don't like reading, why would you read the textbook? Like, you have to do what works for you. What works for your best friend will not work for you, because y'all are two different kind of learners. On passing anatomy and physiology is games. I remember before a lot of my practicals, I played games. I am not even a gamer, but I like to do things in fun ways. I'm a visual learner. So the website that I use, give me 1 second. I'm actually going to pull it up on my computer. There was a website that I used that helped me so much before practicals. But sometimes, even if you're a visual learner, sometimes you get tired of watching videos. Even if you do enjoy reading, sometimes you get tired of reading. So I like to play games that can help me remember certain body parts and where they are. Okay, so the gaming website that will help you remember where the body parts are for anatomy and physiology is called purposegames.com. Purposegames.com shows you a lot of different things where you can go and just play games to label the different body parts. That helps you visually see where they are, just in case on your practical there's a picture and you have to label like the different letters. Or if you just need to remember them for an exam, what does what is where. This was really, really helpful. This was one of the main things that I used when I was tired of watching YouTube videos, to be honest. So purposegames.com, extremely helpful, y'all. Extremely helpful. Don't sit there and just play games all day. Actually pay attention while you're playing the game. See what you're getting right. See what you're getting wrong. It helps. Trust me. It was one of my favorite tools other than YouTube videos. This website is golden, to be honest. My 6th tip for passing anatomy and physiology is to talk to your teacher. Depending on if you're in high school or if you're in college universities, sometimes your teacher has, like, for my class, anatomy and physiology, there were like at least 130 plus students in there. So it's kind of hard for a teacher to tend to 130 plus students all at once. But if you're truly struggling in this course, reach out to your professor. A lot of professors are not there to watch you struggle. Now, don't get me wrong, you do have those professors out there who genuinely couldn't care less. They come to class, they teach the material, they do their part, and they're like, hey, I taught you the material, it's on you to do your part. Which, granted, it is on you to do your part, but a lot of professors do want to see you succeed in their course. I know sometimes it may not feel like it because the material is extremely difficult, but at the end of the day, these are concepts that you need to know. So they're doing their part, and if you're really struggling, reach out to them and they will help you. I can't tell you how many times I didn't understand a concept, or I felt like I really needed to go over something in depth. I reached out to my professor. She reached back out to me, okay, set up X, Y, and Z. Okay, come to office hours. They're willing to work with you as long as you show that you're putting in the effort outside of class and you're paying attention in class. They're willing to work with you. They want you to succeed. People tend to forget, especially students, we tend to forget that our grade reflects our professor in a huge way, like significantly. We always tend to forget that. So if you reach out to your professor, 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna shoot you down. Like, unless they're extremely busy that week or they simply just don't see your email, because that does happen sometimes, they will help you. They do want to help you because at the end of the day, it reflects on them and how they're teaching as well. My next tip on passing anatomy and physiology is study groups. Now, if you're gonna do a study group, be sure to be in a study group where you actually get things done. Don't study with a whole bunch of your best friends and you guys went to the cafeteria to eat for half of your study session, and then you came back and you guys were talking about Jake and Jenna and how they were making out in the parking lot. Don't have friends like that in study groups. If you need to, make a group me for your class so you guys are all learning the same concepts at the same time, and text in there, be like, hey, is anyone trying to study around X, Y, and Z? Out of 10, there are also other people who are struggling in the course, so they are going to, hey, yeah, like, let's study. That's perfect. You guys don't even know each other. When you guys gather up in that study group, you guys are going to solely be focused on the material. But with that being said, I'm not saying that you can't study with your friends. You have to pick and choose, kind of like a judgment call, which friends you can and can't study with. I hate to say it, but that's just what it is. Study session and be laughing and be goofing off the entire study session, or you're not going to learn anything. Me personally, I study with some of my best friends because we can laugh, we can play around for a little bit, we can go eat at the cafeteria, but the minute we get back in that library, everybody's quiet, everybody's trying to learn the concept, and we do active recall on each other. Now, the benefits of a study group is that when it comes to notes, if everybody's taking notes and you're doing like a review session more so, their notes may have something that your notes do not, which is beneficial to you, and vice versa. Your notes may have something that their notes do not. So you may have caught up different things that the teacher was saying in class or that you caught through that recording, and it's gonna benefit you and them because they're learning something new, you're learning something new. As well as active recall, there's a lot of, I can't think of the word right now, but it literally just left my mind, y'all. Hold on, give me a second. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's a lot of things that you can make up as far as like just short lettered terms that help you remember a lot of things, like ABC, airway, breathing, circulation, like certain things like that. I can't remember exactly what those are called, but I have learned a lot of those in my lifetime, and they help you remember things, like they just do. And it's a lot easier to come up with those kind of things when you're in a study group, because 2 brains is always better than 1, 2 brains is always better than 1, 3 brains is always better than 1. Definitely utilize study groups. My last tip that I have for studying for anatomy and physiology and passing it is to really do that one-on-one studying. Now, me personally, I can study by myself or I can study in a group, depending on what kind of group it is, like I said before. But I do enjoy studying by myself because there's nothing like really sitting down and digesting those concepts by yourself and doing active recall by yourself. It's really important for you to know what you already know or what you still need to work on. And sometimes in study groups, I feel like you don't really get to see that because you guys are all going over the material. And sometimes you may be like feeling away if everyone else around you got the concept and you're still trying to like grasp it. It may make you feel away. I don't know. Everybody's different. But it may make you feel away. So really, really, really get that one-on-one time and watch those YouTube videos. Watch those purpose games. Go to purposegames.com. Do those games. Do things that are going to help you remember it. Because at the end of the day, you can study in a study group. You know, you can ask your friends X, Y, and Z. But when it comes to that quiz, when it comes to that test, when it comes to that exam, you are going to be by yourself. It's going to be you and your brain. So one thing you always, always, always want to make sure you do is sit down and make sure that you got it. It doesn't matter if they have it. You need to have it. Hopefully you all can have it. But at the end of the day, it is your grade. This class, you know, God forbid something that doesn't work out, you are going to be the one paying the price. At the end of the day, you need to make sure you understand the material. Because at the end of the day, it is your grade. God forbid, you know, something doesn't work out with this class, you're going to be paying the price for it. And I hate to say it that way, but that's just how it is. Like, I'm just being as real as I can be with you. That's it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Please, please, please use these tips and tricks that I told you guys. I promise it will not steer you wrong. It will really, really help a lot. Be sure to check out my description box down below. I will be sure to link those Quizlets, those extra resources, and the gaming website, that purposegames.com, as well as the quiz that lets you know what kind of learner you are. If you don't know what kind of learner you are, please take that quiz. Come back and comment down below and let me know if you learned something new about yourself. Knowing what kind of learner you are will help tremendously. I can't stress that enough. But please take these tips and tricks and apply them, and you will make an A in anatomy and physiology. We're going to manifest it for you. You are going to do it because you are smart, and it may be difficult, but you were born ready, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. It'll be linked down below in the description box. Check out all those other links that will be linked down below in the description box. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Mwah.